Good morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. We are going to be reading chapter 2 of our Ancient Rome Reader. So this is in Bright Thinker. All of the pages are uploaded, and with the World River book, I know it was a little bit confusing because you had to download it. With this one, it's different. So if you click the link to the Ancient Rome Reader, then you should be able to very easily just see it right on your computer. I'll show you what it looks like. I will also be presenting my screen and reading from it today. So for history, Ancient Rome Reader is here. This is what you'll do, not on your to-do list, but if you click on history and go to that Ancient Rome folder, it's right there, Ancient Rome Reader. If you click it and go to this link, all of the pages are here for the whole Ancient Rome unit. Now we are going to read about chapter 2, the Roman gods and goddesses. Chapter 1 was about the founding of Rome, the legend of Romulus and Remus, and then what probably actually happened when Rome was found. The Roman gods and goddesses are what we'll look at today. Now the Roman gods and goddesses are very similar to the Greek ones. Do any of you remember the Greek gods and goddesses? I know many of you had an assignment of a specific god or a goddess from second grade, one of your second grade teachers. You remember who that was? We are going to see that some of them are now Roman gods and goddesses, but with new names. So chapter 2, the mighty gods. Now, the ancient Romans believed in many gods. They believed that gods controlled everything in nature, the wind, sun, rain, even earthquakes. You might think it's a little different than what we would think now, but it makes sense that people would want to have an explanation for why strange things like that happened. So, a god is a being in the shape of a man, according to our book, who has the power to affect nature or people's lives. So the Romans believed their gods were very involved in their lives. These gods had different names than the Greek gods because the Romans spoke Latin, a different language than the Greeks spoke. The goddess Juno watched over Roman brides and their marriages. The god Mars decided which side would win a battle or lose a war. Do you remember Mars from our first chapter? The father of Romulus and Remus. So the goddess Juno, she watched over brides and marriage. Mars was the god of war. If a Roman father had a good crop, it was because the gods were pleased, according to the book. If the same farmer had a bad crop, it meant that the gods were angry. Because of this, the ancient Romans worried about angering their gods. And it makes sense that they would want to please them because they were very dependent on having good crops and good weather altogether. Here's a little story. We're going to be hearing quite a bit about some specific characters, really telling the stories of the ancient Rome. Now, Flavia is our first character. She was in a great hurry. She ran barefoot across the fields of her family's farm. "Please help me, Vesta," she prayed. "Let me get home before the holy fire goes out." Now, holy, word up here, means having to do with God or religion. Flavia was worried. "Why do I talk so much?" she asked herself. "Why can't I just remember my job?" Flavia and her friend Meta had spent most of the morning washing clothes in a stream. They talked as they worked. Then Flavia remembered that she had not checked the holy fire of the goddess Vesta. She left the wet clothes with Meta and ran home as fast as she could. Flavia's mother usually kept Vesta's fire burning. Today, though, her mother had gone to the market. At 9 years old, Flavia was the oldest daughter. It became her job to keep the holy fire burning at home, just as it did in the temple. Here is the Temple of Vesta. and a Roman forum. So this is what Roman buildings would have looked like at the time. Many of them still look like that today even. So the temple was one of the most important buildings, similar to a church, or in some religions still considered a temple today as far as the place you would go for worship. So a temple is a building used for worship. It's a very general term for any type of religion that has a building used for worship. Now, the goddess Vesta watched over the sacred fire of every Roman home and the fire of Rome itself, according to their belief at this time. Sacred means it's related to religion or holy. So she needs to have this fire continuous in the temple, but also, like we saw at Flavia's even her own home. The Romans did not make statues of Vesta. Fire was her only symbol. The Romans worshipped Vesta at every meal by throwing food into their fires. Now, a symbol is a picture or object that is a sign for something, like the American flag as the symbol of the United States. Flavia burst into the house. She rushed to the fire. There, she found just a few glowing embers, which are little pieces of burning wood or coal that is from a fire that's almost died out. Quickly but carefully, she placed some straw on the embers, trying to get that fire going. It almost died away. She's thinking, I can save it. She blew gently to bring the flames back to life. Soon, the fire burned brightly once again. Way to go. Oh, thank you, Vesta, Flavia cried. She placed more twigs on the burning straw. When the twigs were blazing, she put some charcoal in the fire. Now, Flavia and her family believed that the smell of burning charcoal meant that Vesta was watching over the family. As you can see, charcoal here is black chunks made from burned wood that are used for fuel. Now, Flavia and her family felt very close to Vesta and to the god Janus, who also watched over Roman homes. This picture here is a Roman coin showing the god Janus, who apparently has these two sides to his face. He watched over doorways and archways. This is also a god that is said to watch over the beginning and end of all things. And so that's why he's got these two faces. One in the front of his head and one in the back. With his two faces, Janus watched over the beginning and end of all things. He also watched who came and who went out of every building. Later, Flavia again thanked the gods that the holy flame had not died out. If it had, her family would have been disgraced. She was very grateful that the gods had saved her. She promised them she would never forget again. So that is the end of chapter 2. We're going to hear about some more Roman gods and goddesses. This one didn't go over very many of them, but you have, I'm sure, remembered quite a few of the Greek gods and goddesses. There are just as many Roman ones. But once again, many of them have different names because they spoke Latin. So that is all for today. Please answer the questions attached to the video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.